Donald Trump appears to believe that House Speaker Mike Johnson can somehow protect him from further fallout surrounding the ongoing Epstein case. But that's simply not true. While Johnson and congressional allies might try to delay or downplay certain discussions, they can only influence what happens inside Congress. What they can't control is the Epstein estate, which continues to release information through legal proceedings outside the government's reach. It was through those records that we first learned about Epstein's private contact book, a revelation that challenged many public statements made by Trump about his past connections. Now, a new lawsuit involving the estate threatens to reveal even more information. And this time, there's little that Trump or his allies can do to contain it. We're going to break down exactly what this lawsuit could expose and what journalist Michael Wolff recently revealed about Trump's ties to the case. But before we get into that, if you'd like to support this kind of independent reporting, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep going.
Polaroid, that's in my, as I say, in my mind, these are Polaroids, but they certainly are snapshots. And then he kind of like a deck of cards, kind of displayed them on the table. And there were specifically three that I remember, and this is now almost 10 years ago. So, but the three that I remember are two in which topless young women, and I don't know the ages of these women, but they are young, are sitting in Trump's lap. And this is outside Jeffrey Epstein's house in Palm Beach, around the swimming pool.
Okay, and is Trump dressed? Is he what?
Trump is dressed, and in mind's eye, it's kind of golfy,
right? Golf leisure wear
attire, but right. And then in the third picture, there is, and so he's wearing light pants. There is or tannish pants, and there's a stain on the front of his trousers, and the girls.
There are reportedly countless documents, photos, and recordings connected to the Epstein investigation, many of which remain sealed within the Epstein estate or held by individuals who were close to him. Much of this information has not been made public and remains outside the scope of what Congress has reviewed. Some critics argue that certain political figures are working to delay or restrict the release of these materials, raising serious concerns about transparency and accountability. These efforts, if true, could be seen as attempts to protect powerful interests and prevent the full truth from coming to light. What's clear is that any new evidence emerging from the Epstein estate could have massive implications for multiple people in government and beyond. And according to Congressman Eric Swalwell, this is exactly why some are so determined to keep those files sealed. Because once the truth begins to surface, it could set off a chain reaction that's impossible to contain.
People are hurting. And they know that Republicans run the White House, the Senate, and the House. They could open up the Congress and have us negotiate, but they won't do it for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, they know the second they do it, they have to vote on releasing the Epstein files, which means admitting just how close Donald Trump is to the most notorious child sex trafficker. So Mike Johnson right now stands as a pedophile protector. That's what he's doing by protecting Jeffrey Epstein's legacy and history from becoming more public. But second, Jonathan, as we approach open enrollment, where most Americans find out what their health insurance premiums are going to cost every month, Republicans refuse to put back in place subsidies that make sure low-income and middle-class Americans can afford health insurance. And if you're not a low-income or middle-class American, Jonathan, you're still affected, because the way health insurance works is the more people who are insured, the less that we all pay. So Republicans don't want to work, have closed down Congress, have closed down the federal government, aren't paying federal workers, and most Americans are going to pay more next year when it comes to the health insurance premium.
When we talk about why the government is shut down, it is obvious that Donald Trump wants to strip millions of people of their health care, and that Stephen Miller and Russ VA understand this is a great opportunity to fire federal workers en masse and to change the perception of the government. Donald Trump wants us to believe that this is every institution really is just exists to serve the oligarchs, to serve his buddies, to break up public goods, and instead of us the people owning them, to give them to Peter Thiel or Elon Musk and have the billionaire class sell them back to us at a premium. Because Donald Trump doesn't want us to have access to our government. That's obvious. But of course, we also have to keep Epstein in mind. Donald Trump knows that it's easier for him to block anything regarding the release of the Epstein files. But what he's after isn't just within the halls of Congress. It is also the associates who have access to other pertinent information that would eventually get that type of snowball effect, making it impossible for Donald Trump to cover up. It's not just the Epstein estate, but everyone around Jeffrey Epstein, which is why this lawsuit could be so damaging. Lawsuits could finally expose Jeffrey Epstein's network as Congress continues stalling. Legal experts say that new lawsuits could reveal late financier Jeffrey Epstein's ties to banks and avoid the embarrassing partisan gamesmanship blocking justice for survivors and accomplish what lawmakers have failed to do. 2 new lawsuits filed against Bank of America and the Bank of New York Mellon by an anonymous plaintiff allege that the financial institutions illicitly enabled Epstein's trafficking. The Guardian reports on Monday, the lawsuits are necessary for complete justice for the victims of Epstein, as well as for future would-be victims who will suffer from similar trafficking organizations if our financial institutions are not held accountable for the essential role each plays either in providing the necessary infrastructure for the illegal operation or recognizing the financial component of these crimes and putting an end to it. Edwards said in a statement, "We have a far better chance of making a real difference than Congress because we know the facts and history of the case and are not motivated by politics, but rather by a genuine desire to make a real difference and to protect the survivors who have already suffered tremendously." He added, "The legal move could shed more light on secrets behind Epstein and other wealthy individuals' actions. We approach these matters without any political agenda and thus cannot be deterred by shutdowns, protecting wealthy, politically connected individuals or the other embarrassing partisan gamesmanship you and the rest of the world have had to watch unfold recently. What makes this lawsuit so important right now, beyond the obvious need for justice for survivors, is that it could finally reveal how deeply financial institutions were connected to Jeffrey Epstein's network. These banks and entities hold key records that could help uncover the full scope of what really happened. Despite repeated claims from certain officials that Epstein acted entirely alone, evidence has long suggested otherwise. The flow of money between Epstein and various associates raises serious questions that deserve answers. According to reports, the Justice Department has restricted the release of information about 2 individuals who received significant payments linked to Epstein's accounts. We don't yet know what those payments were for, whether they were business transactions, settlements, or something else entirely. But transparency here is essential. These financial records could expose a broader web of connections and shed light on patterns of abuse and exploitation. And while some political figures may prefer that this information stay hidden, ongoing legal action could make it impossible to keep those details secret forever. If those records are made public, they could push new witnesses to come forward and reveal what they know, painting a clearer picture of the entire operation. That's why this case is drawing so much attention. Because accountability at this level doesn't just impact one person or one administration. It has the potential to expose an entire network of wrongdoing that has remained in the dark for far too long. Congressman Eric Swalwell has continued to emphasize the importance of transparency in this investigation, because only through openness and accountability can real justice be achieved.
It's not true, Ali. And we are in an Epstein shutdown. Mike Johnson has shut down the Congress for almost 30 days because he doesn't want to find out how close Donald Trump is to Jeffrey Epstein, the largest, the biggest, the most notorious child sex trafficker America has ever known. And so who is paying the price? And I just want to give you an example. In my district yesterday, I was talking to a federal worker, and he was surprised to see me home. And he said, wait, why aren't you guys in Washington? Because in the last 3 shutdowns in the last 13 years, we've always been in Washington to find our way out. You're in a pressure cooker. That's how deals happen. The press are there to hold us accountable, and they're asking questions. So he was quite alarmed to learn that this is entirely about protecting Donald Trump from Jeffrey Epstein. And so he's not getting paid. Our troops' pay continues to be at risk. Health insurance premiums have not been put in place. And November 1, we're all going to find out what we're paying next year, month to month. And for what? To protect Donald Trump? So prove to me, Ali, this isn't about protecting the president and his connection.
We know exactly what's being hidden. And that's why it's so important that we stay focused and keep calling it out. There are so many distractions being pushed right now. But we can't lose sight of the truth. We'll keep breaking it all down right here on this channel, every single day. If you'd like to support that work, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I will see you soon.